And our big topic is overlooked games. It's kind of like a new series we'll be doing now, taking us up to September the 6th. We were going to do it to make a little shorter podcast because this big topic will be a much shorter affair than other big topics in the past. And basically we're going to mention platformers this week. Focus on platformers on the Switch that maybe people have overlooked, and we'll try and sell the idea of this platformer to them. I am winging it here, so I've got a list, maybe 3 games that I would like to talk about, but it'll all be off the top of my head, so it will be a short affair for me anyway. But what are some games that we can recommend on the Switch that don't garner the spotlight, like the first party games, so no Mario, none of that stuff. Normally these kind of games will be eShop only, and they're very little talked about. Nick, do you want to get us started on a choice of platformer that people may have overlooked?
Well, I'll mention a couple of games briefly. We've talked about it. Maybe it's not overlooked, but I think Spyro and Crash are both very good platformers. Like, you get 3 games in each package. Spyro 1 and Crash 1 are both fantastic games. And Crash 1 is extremely difficult. I didn't realise it was so difficult before I started playing it, but it is really, really hard. Like, it's a really nice old school platformer. I think Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair. I mean, I know it's quite popular, but I think it is overlooked in some way because I think, and I've said this before, and Greg disagrees, but I think it's better than Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
I haven't played it.
Have you not?
I don't know. I would doubt it, but
you would doubt it. No, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, it's very similar, very, very similar. I personally prefer Yooka-Laylee. I've done the first 10 to 12 stages, I think, on both games, and definitely enjoy Yooka-Laylee more. But that doesn't mean that Donkey Kong isn't fantastic, because it is. It's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, really solid.
And I never really played it on the Wii U, which is why I got the Switch version. But the first one I'll talk about then is actually on the Sega Mega Drive collection.
Ah, cool. I didn't think of collections. Good.
Rystar. I don't know.
Yes.
Have either of you played?
We mentioned it a few podcasts. I haven't played it, no, but yeah.
Greg, have you played it?
Sell it to Greg then. Oh no, Greg, you've already got this, haven't you?
I do have it, but it's funny enough when you mentioned it a few weeks ago, like I seem to be in the sort of mindset where it's like, maybe I will actually go and give it a go, but my feelings have changed since then and I haven't really thought about it.
I don't know, there's not really much to say. I think it's developed by the Sonic team.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So it's very similar in how it looks, and I would say also the stage design is fairly similar to Sonic. Like, it's not just one straight path through the level. There are multiple levels, multiple stages that you can up the top, at the bottom, in the middle, and stuff like that. And I just think it's quite a unique platformer because a lot of you can jump, but not very high. And you have stretchy arms that are used to attack and to latch onto things. So there's lots of swinging that you need to do. And I don't know. Yeah, it's a solid platformer. I've always really liked it since I first played it on the Wii Virtual Console. And it's that classic 90s 16-bit platformer. It's everything that you would want. It's kind of got a weird sort of cutesy mascot, good music, nice visuals, interesting level design. It is pretty standard and straightforward, but it is definitely more overlooked than Mario and Sonic. Maybe it's not quite as good as those series. Well, definitely not quite as good as those series, but it's still a very, very solid 8, 9 out of 10 platformer, I would say, from that era. Give it a try if you've not played it.
That's selling me the Sega Mega Drive collection.
Funny enough, I see it's on the Mega Drive collection on PSP, so I might take it for portable purposes and give it a go. I do think I tried it a good few years ago. Was it on the Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube?
I don't think so, to be honest, because I had that and I don't remember playing it. It could have been, but I don't think it was on the Sonic because they had Spinball, they had Mean Bean Machine, and then they had Sonic 1 to 4, I think, didn't they? Sorry, 1 to 3 and Knuckles.
I might have to check into that because I do remember playing it before, it came to the Wii Virtual Console. I never played it on the Wii, but I do have memories of trying the game out, and I think it was a wee bit. I think I found it a wee bit slow paced. Perhaps
it is quite slow. That's true. It is very slow. compared to Sonic.
I think like I maybe only played like the first level or so. Like I think I remember like a snake or something going around like a wee grid of a thing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's the first boss, I think. It's like that. Yeah.
That's all I really remember. But it didn't really grab me straight away.
It also didn't really grab me straight away, but I stuck with it and I ended up really enjoying it. So I'll give it a chance, I would say.
Cool. I will.
One game platformer, Overlooked Platformer, and one of the reasons I think it was overlooked when it came out originally on the Switch and it didn't drop in price was its price point. This was vastly overpriced for what they were asking. As a 2D platformer, it's a 16-bit style graphics, tiny Barbarian Dx, and I've mentioned this a number of times on the podcast and talked about the game in depth on our old podcast as well. But what a game this is. It's, first of all, it's striking visually that it's in this super wide screen. So you got two black bars at the top and bottom, and they're quite hefty black bars. And you're obviously tiny Barbarian. You're this very, very small sprite who's extremely well animated. I mean, the game is made by, published by Nicholas, who did Cave Story. So you got a bit of pedigree in what they're choosing to publish here. And it's a game that you can play drop in, drop out, 2-player local as well. So that's another added bonus of having a single son here, and we played through the game together. But it's a really difficult, classic 2D platformer in the vein of something like maybe even a Castlevania or the original Castlevanias, or in the vein of a Mega Man with close combat. But there are ways you can link it's just very, very, very simple, but the simplicity overlies a slight complexity in what you can do. You can link together like jumping and then pressing the shoulder button to do a ground pound, and then link it into attacks, which don't provide a combo, but do provide an opening for some enemies. But because of this super wide screen and this small sprite, you've got such a view of the actual gameplay and the platforming. You know exactly what's coming up, miles ahead of seeing it. So you haven't got this problem. If you ever played New Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy, I think it was on the Game Boy Advance, they resized that so you couldn't see a Goomba until it was basically on top of you. This has got the other kind of aspect where you just see everything. But it throws every 2D platforming trope at you, from even a Donkey Kong level, with this giant monkey at the top who's taking your girlfriend, and he's throwing barrels down, and you've got to traverse treacherous platforms and pit spikes and swing across ropes to get to the top to attack the monkey at the end. It's got wonderfully varied bosses. But even though it's got that 16-bit, it's doing that thing that modern kind of 16-bit games do. It's pulling off graphical feats that wouldn't be possible back in the 16-bit days. And the platforming is just so solid. It's pixel perfect because it needs to be. The variety of levels, like Donkey Kong Country, you're riding a wasp in one. You jump on the back of a wasp, and you're using the B button to mash to elevate, and flying through levels while attacking enemies. It feels good. It plays good. It's incredibly difficult, but in that challenge, it's one of those things that there's plenty of restart points as long as you go through. Where the screen changes, that's a restart point. You run across a scrolling stage, you get to the end of that stage and jump through to the next screen, then there's an automatic kind of save point as long as you don't switch a game off, because it is old school in that way as well. It'll kick you back out at the beginning of the level. But there's a lot of content in there as well, and it's got one of the most memorable opening scenes to a game I've ever seen as well, where the music throughout the game is wonderful, but as you load the game up, it's scrolling up a mountain and you see orcs climbing up the side of the mountain and the music is building up and ba 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 ba, tiny Barbarian Dx comes up with a slashing sword, and even on the title screen you're beset by orcs and you can control your barbarian straight away, and it's this little mini high score game where you've got to survive for as long as you can before these relentless enemies and just continuous endless wave of enemies take you down. Well thought out platformer. I can't recommend it more. Unfortunately, the price point was a sticking point. I don't know what they're asking for it now. It did drop in permanent price and it's been on sale a few times, but not often. One to look out for anyway. Anything, Greg?
Genuinely not. But I think my brother bought that game based on your recommendation when you spoke about it a few months ago.
Yeah.
So if we could ever sort of like think about getting his account somehow on my Switch, I'm sure I could probably download it and play it. Yeah.
Nick, do you have another recommendation then?
Yeah, I've got a couple more. The next one I was thinking about, it's not really a platformer. It's kind of a hybrid platformer, beat 'em up, shoot 'em up. It's like doing everything together, and it's Super Crush KO, which is
that's a follow-up to
Graceful Explosion Machine.
Graceful Explosion Machine, that's it.
So it's like visually very simple, like bright colors, not very much detail, but you basically go through there are many different stages in each world, and you get from the beginning to the end. The platforming is involved, but it's not like the main thing. But you are jumping between platforms, I suppose, and progressing from left to right. And then obviously you're using your abilities. You can shoot the enemies, or you can like kick them and beat them up and stuff like that. So it's kind of a hybrid of all three, but very cheap game, very well developed, I would say. Like it feels like very tight. The controls feel very tight. Nice variety of moves, and it's just like after finishing Graceful Explosion Machine, which I really enjoyed, this is just as good, if not better, I would say. Really fun game. Definitely one to pick up due to its price, and there's a decent amount of content. I would say 5 hours is probably enough, like Graceful Explosion Machine, to finish it. Maybe a little bit more. There's obviously high scores, medals and stuff like that as well to go back and get if you feel like it. So very, very solid game. Check it out on YouTube. Fun to play.
That's Super KO Crush.
Super Crush KO.
Yeah. Super Crush KO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll look at that. I'm typing that down.
I'm just watching it right now, and it actually does look pretty decent.
It's really fun. Yeah, and I think it's £7 or £8 or something. It's not expensive, so definitely worth it in my opinion.
My next recommendation, I've talked about this recently, and I think you talked about it as well, Nick, after you picked it up, is Mark of the Ninja. More of a stealth-based kind of exploration, but the 2D platforming in this and the way that the stealth mechanics are implemented in the way you can take down people, the way you upgrade over time, so it makes you go back and redo levels before to try and get better medals. Fantastic, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, if you don't have Mark of the Ninja, get it.
Yeah, it's good. I picked it up on your recommendation, and even though I haven't played very much, I can definitely see myself, once I'm done with the Messenger, I think that's the next indie game I'm going to play, to be honest. Messenger, I can recommend as a good platformer as well. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. The last one, I don't know, maybe you two have got this game already, or maybe you've already played it, but I think it's one of the best platformers of the last 5 years, and it's Snake Pass.
Wait over there. The one where you manipulate the snake.
Yeah, the one that
it's like a puzzle platformer.
It was a launch game for the Switch, and
I've heard people say bad things about it.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay.
It's not a very long game. I think it took me about, I want to say between 5 and 10 hours, closer to 10 if I remember correctly, to finish. There's only 16 levels, but it's just a very, very interesting 3D platformer, and the way you move the triggers and the control stick, and I think the face button to raise and lift his head, is like, once you get your head around the controls, it feels really, really good. Like, I think that's
what put a lot of people off, is that it does have awkward controls that need to be really learned.
Awkward, but the first few stages really ease you into it. Like the final world is extremely difficult, and you have to do a lot of sort of jumping, and like you have to really understand how the snake moves to finish them. But I feel like the game definitely shows you how to do that in the first few worlds, and then you're kind of left to experiment. You can cheese stuff as well. You don't have to do it like the way you should do it. But I had a great time with Snake Pass, and I haven't quite, like, again, on some of the levels you have to get medals. There's like collectibles. I think I've done the first 3 of the 4 worlds completely, but the last one I just can't get the final few medals. But I would say get it on PC or PS4 or Xbox rather than the Switch. And the Switch version is still very good, but
and it's been on sale for ridiculously cheap from what I can remember it as well.
Well worth picking up though. I had a great time with Snake Pass. Music by David Wise of Donkey Kong Country. Developed by Team 17, I think, of Worms fame. I think it's Team 17. Could be wrong.
I believe so.
No, it's the other guys who did...
Devolver Digital? No, it's not.
So it's a British studio, but I can't remember what it's called now. They've been working with Sony. Not Sucker Punch. I can't remember. Whatever. It's good. I like it. Give it a go.
Cool.
Another couple of very small recommendations. One game I bought by mistake because I wanted to get Wolverblade, and I accidentally bought Volga the Viking. I don't know if you've heard of that. I never heard of the game before.
I have heard of Volga the Viking, and it has been on quite a few eShop sales as well, and that's had a mixed reception.
I can see why, because it is probably the most difficult game I've ever played. I can't get past the first level. I've tried for 3 hours, and I can't do it. It's one of those you have to learn everything in the level, and then you die, go back to the start. Yeah, it's a rock hard platforming game, but it is quite fun. I mean, I did enjoy the time that I put into it. So if it's dirt cheap, I'd recommend getting it. And I think that's it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm basically out of smaller ones, but there's a couple of mentions that, like, Drakon always mentions that, don't play this, Lee, this is too hard for you, because I'm not very good at his incredibly difficult Super Mario 2 Maker levels. And then he says it's easy. It's like, you're winding me up. But Dandara is a game that he mentions. I've never played it, but it's a game I've always looked into, and that's been on sale. And they've had some free DLC for that. That's one for people to look out for. Sonic Mania, Rayman Legends definitely is always good. Yeah, Shovel Knight, I couldn't recommend that anymore. Love Shovel Knight, but except the Plague Knight was a bit of a
Shovel Knight's pretty popular though, isn't it? I think people haven't really overlooked
that's why
that
I wouldn't talk about it. Yeah, and Steam will dig too, but that's another big one as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some great platformers on the Switch. Definitely,
yeah,
definitely one of the best represented genres on the system.
What about that game behind you?
Behind me? Klonoa.
Yeah.
I thought when you
is that on the Switch by any chance?
It's not. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, when you
by the way, listeners, Nick has a background on his Skype of Klonoa.
Yeah, because when we decided on this topic, I thought we were going to talk about overlooked platformers on all systems, or at least on all Nintendo systems. So I had a couple of SNES games, and I was going to talk about Klonoa on the Wii because I really enjoyed that back in 2007 or 8, whenever it was. Great little platformer.
So we can just keep our fingers crossed for a port to the Switch then?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so with that brings us to the end of our big topic. Greg, did we sell you on any platformers coming on the Switch already, not coming to the Switch? Anyone's going to pick up?
I had looked at Snake Pass a few times before when it went on sale, and I keep talking myself out of it.
Same
and
here.
I probably will keep talking myself out of it. I maybe just need to be in that that mindset where it's like, right, I really do fancy trying this now. I'm not sure when that'll happen, but yeah, I suppose I could see what price it is on PS4. It might be dirt cheap on there. I'm not sure.
Might be. It definitely would. I would definitely say pick it up on PS4 rather than Switch if you can, and if you can get it for less than a $5, at least just to try it. I do think actually it's a game that you would like, 3D platformer that you would like. Worth trying. Or even if they have a demo on PS4, give it a go, see what you think.
Mm-hmm. Cool, maybe.
Cool. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.